Good afternoon, sir. Our topic is all about motivation. So, what is motivation? Motivation is the inner drive that pushes a person to act and keep going until goal is reached. It gives energy, direction, and persistence to what we do. So, in school, motivation is key factor that helps students work hard and succeed. By Ryan et al. 2007. So, motivation also is highly motivated. A student is eager to learn, takes initiative, and works hard to reach goals. They are willing to sacrifice fun for success, don't give up easily, and enjoy learning. So, they have a positive attitude, persist in challenges, and usually perform well in school. So, by Stepek 1996, 2002 cited by Woltop 2013. So, motivation is the internal drive or force to push a person to act, behave, or achieve a goal. So, it explains why we do something, whether it's studying, working, helping others, or pursuing our passion. So, motivation also influences our energy, effort, persistence, and attitude towards tasks. So we have two main types of motivation. So the first one is intrinsic motivation, and the second is intrinsic motivation. So what is intrinsic motivation? Intrinsic motivation comes from within the person, doing an active activity for its own sake. So example is reading because it's enjoyable. So intrinsic motivations come from within a person. So you do something you find it enjoyable, meaningful, or personally satisfying, not because of external rewards, characteristics. It's driven by interest or enjoyment, comes from personal goals, curiosity, or passion. So it leads also to deeper learning and long-term engagement. One of the examples also is studying a subject because you genuinely want to learn it. So second is playing sport because it makes you happy. Third is drawing or writing because it helps you express yourself. And fourth, it can be also solving puzzles because you enjoy the challenge. So the second is intrinsic motivation. Extrinsic motivation rather. So the second is extrinsic motivation. So what is extrinsic motivation? It comes from external factors, doing something for rewards or approval. So extrinsic motivation comes from outside the person. You do something because you expect a reward or want to avoid punishment. So one of the examples of extrinsics is studying to get high grade, working to earn money, following rules to avoid punishment, and also joining schools activities to receive certificates of recognitions. So, in simple terms, intrinsic motivation is I do it because I want to. So, extrinsic motivation is I do it because I get something for doing it. And that's all. Jana will tackle about the theories of motivation.
Now let's tackle the theories on motivation. So there are 6 theories on motivation: the attribution theory, self-efficacy theory, self-determination theory, choice theory, Maslow hierarchy of need, and last is goal theory. So attribution theory. This theory explains our success or failure. Ipinapaliwanag ng teoryeng ito kung paano natin binibigyang dahilan o paliwanag ang ating tagumpay, pagkabigo o mga pangyayari sa buhay. May tatlong uri ang attribution theory. Ito yung locus, stability at contrariability. Dumako muna tayo sa locus. Ang locus ay may dalawang bahagi. Ito yung internal versus external. Ang internal, ito yung panloob. Kapag ang dahilan ng tagumpay o pagkabigo ay nakikita natin na nasa sarili tulad ng sipag, talino o kakulangan sa pagsisikap. Halimbawa, bumasa ako kasi nagsikap ako. Dito naman sa external o panlabas, kapag ang dahilan ay nasa labas ang sarili tulad ng swerte, hirap ng exam o tulong ng iba. Halimbawa, bumagsak ako kasi sobrang hirap ng test. Dumako naman tayo sa stability. May dalawang uri din ng stability. Ito yung stable versus unstable. Sa stable, ang dahilan ay hindi nagbabago. Halimbawa, mahusay talaga ako sa math. Sa unstable naman, ang dahilan ay pwedeng magbago. Halimbawa, hindi ako nakapag-aral dahil sumakit ang ulo ko. Dito naman tayo sa contrariability. Ito yung kontrolado o hindi kontrolado. Sa kontrolado, ang dahilan ay nasa kontrol ng tao. Halimbawa, nabigo ako kasi hindi ako nag-review. Dito naman sa hindi kontrolado, ang dahilan ay hindi kayang kontrolin. Halimbawa, hindi ako naka-attend dahil malakas ang bagyo. Dumako naman tayo sa self-efficacy theory. Ito yung a sense of high self-efficacy means a high sense of competences. So, ang self-efficacy ay tumutukoy sa paniniwala ng isang tao na kaya niyang gawin ang isang gawain, tuparin ang isang tungkulin o harapin ang isang hamon ng matagumpay. Kapag mataas ang self-efficacy ng isang tao, ibig sabihin mataas din ang tiwala ng tao sa kanyang sariling kakayahan. Naniniwala siyang may sapat siyang galing, kaalaman at lakas para matapos ang isang gawain. Dahil dito, mas masipag at mas determinado siyang magsikap. Halimbawa, kung naniniwala ang isang mag-aaral na kaya kong maintindihan ang math kung mag-aaral ako, ito ay isang high self-efficacy at mas malaki ang chance na magtagumpay siya. Dumako naman tayo sa self-determination and self-regulation theory. Ang self-determination ay tungkol sa pagbibigay suporta sa pagiging independent o may sariling desisyon ng mga mag-aaral. Ibig sabihin, tinutulungan silang matuto ng hindi kontrolado pero may malinaw na gabay. Pagbibigay ng malinaw na direksyon ng hindi sobrang istrikto o nananakot. Pagbibigay ng choices para makapagdesisyon ang mga estudyante. Pagpapatupad ng patas at hindi controlling na pag-evaluate. Hindi bias, hindi nakaka-pressure ng sobra. Self-regulation theory, teorya na papaangkin ng sariling pag-uugali at pagkatuto. Ang self-regulation ay ang kakayahan ng mga mag-aaral na kontrolin at pamahalaan ang sarili para maabot ang kanyang mga layunin sa pag-aaral. Indicators o palatandaan ng self-regulation ni Omro 2004. Pag-set ng standard sa sarili. Pagtatakda ng sariling pamantayan o inaasahang gawain. Pagmomonitor at pag-i-evaluate ng sariling ginagawa. Sinusuri kung tumutugma ba ang ginagawa sa itinakdang pamantayan. Pagbibigay ng sariling consequences, nagbibigay ng reward sa sarili kapag nagtagumpay at tinatanggap ang pagkakamali kapag nagkulang. Ito yung 6 na according to Omro 2004, regulation learning involves several key processes. Ito yung goal settings, planning, attention control, learning strategies, self-monitoring at self-evaluation. Ang goal of settings ay pagtukoy kung ano ang gustong maabot bago mag-aral. Ang planning naman ay pagdedesisyon kung paano gagamitin ang oras at resources ng epektibo. Attention control, pag-focus sa gawain na pag-iwas sa distraction. Learning strategies, pagpili at pag-adjust ng tamang strategies para maabot ang layunin. Self-monitoring, pagsusuri kung muuusad ba sa pagkatuto at kung kailangang baguhin ang strategies. Self-evaluation, pagtataya kung natupad ba ang layunin at kung sapat ang natutunan. Dumako naman tayo sa choice theory. Ang choice theory ay isang biological na teorya na nagsasabing ang tao ay sinilang na may mga pangunahing pangangailangan na kailangan nating patugunan. Ibig sabihin, nakaprograma na sa atin ang paghahanap ng mga bagay na magpapasaya at magpapaunlad sa atin. Ayon kay Bob Solo 2007, may 4 na pangunahing logical na pangangailangan ang tao. Ito yung belonging or connection, power or competence, freedom at fun. So, sa belonging or connection, ito yung kailangan natin na relasyon ng pamilya, kaibigan at kaklase. Mahalaga ang pakiramdam na tinatanggap kasama ang bahagi ng grupo. Sa power or competence naman, ito yung kailangan nating maramdaman na may kakayahan tayo at may naipagtagumpay. Dito pumapasok ang self-confidence at mastery ng skills. Sa freedom or kalayaan, kailangan ng tao ang pagkakaroon ng choices, pagkakataong magdesisyon at pagkakaroon ng independence. Mas motivated ang estudyante kapag may kalayaang pumili. Sa fun naman or kasiyahan, mahalaga ang pagtawa, pag-enjoy at pagiging masaya habang natututo. Kapag masaya ang isang gawain, mas tumatagal ang interes at motivation ng isang mag-aaral. Dumako naman tayo sa Maslow Hierarchy of Needs. So, ayon kay Abraham Maslow, ang tao ay may mga pangangailangan na nakaayos mula sa pinaka-basic hanggang sa pinakamataas. Sinasabi niya na kailangan munang matagunan ang mas mababang pangangailangan bago makapag-focus ang tao sa mas mataas na antas na pag-unlad. Ito ay karaniwang ipinapakita bilang pyramid na may 5 antas. Ito yung pyramid. Ito yung philosophical, safety, love or belonging, esteem, self-actualization. Dumako muna tayo sa psychological needs. Ito ang mga pangangailangan ng katawan para mabuhay. Nangangailangan ng tao ng pagkain para mabuhay, tubig, hangin, tulog, damit at tirahan. Kapag hindi ito natutugunan, mahirap mag-focus sa pag-aaral o ipapang gawain. Sa safety needs naman, pangangailangan ng tao na makaramdam ng kaligtasan, proteksyon, seguridad sa bahay at komunidad, kaligtasan sa pisikal at emosyonal, stable na buhay. Kapag hindi ligtas ang kapaligiran, hirap matuto ang isang tao o isang mag-aaral. Sa love and belongingness naman, ay ang pangangailangan na mahalin at mahalaga. Ito yung pamilya, kaibigan, pakikipagkaibigan, pagiging bahagi ng grupo o klase. Nakakapahalaga para sa emotional well-being ng isang mag-aaral. STEM needs. Ito yung pangangailangan na makarekognisa at magkaroon ng self-respect. Pagkamit ng tagumpay, pakikilala ng iba, pagkakaroon ng tiwala sa sarili, pagiging competent o may kakayahan. Kapag natugunan ito, tumataas ang confidence ng isang tao o isang mag-aaral. Sa self-actualization naman, ito yung pangangailangan na maabot ang buong potensyal at gawain ang pinakamabuting kaya ng isang tao. Pagiging creative, pagiging explore ng talent, pag-abot ng personal goals, paglago bilang tao. Ito yung stage kung saan nagiging best version ang isang tao. Mako naman tayo sa goal theory. Sinasabi na ang goal theory, ang mga layunin na ay tinatakda mo ay nakakaapekto sa iyong motivation at sa paraan ng iyong pag-aaral at pagkilos. Iba ang pag-aaral mo kapag ang layunin mo ay matuto kumpara kapag ang layunin mo ay magmukhang magaling lang sa harap ng iba. May dalawang uri ang goal sa pagkatuto. Ito yung learning goal at performance goal. Ang learning goal, ito ay pagnanais na matuto, madagdagan ang kaalaman o mas mamaster ang ang bagong skills. Nakatuon sa pag-unlad, hindi sa paghusga ng iba. Halimbawa, gusto kong maintindihan ang math ng mas mabuti. Sa performance goal naman, ito naman ay pagnanais na magmukhang magaling at makatanggap ng positibong paghuhusga mula sa iba. Iwas sa pagkakamali para hindi mapahiya. Halimbawa, ayoko makamali para isipin nila na magaling ako. Ito naman ang self-determination o sariling desisyon na layunin. Ito ang mga layuning personal na mahalaga sa mag-aaral. Kapag ang goal ay galing mismo sa estudyante, mas mataas ang motivation, effort at percentage. Mas nagiging responsible ang mga pagnanais na magtagumpay. May 5 major elements of goals of settings. Ito yung goal acceptance, specificity, challenge, performance monitoring, performance feedbacks. So, goal of acceptance. Pagtanggap at pagsang-ayon sa goal. Mahalaga na committed ang tao sa layunin. Sa specificity naman, ang goal ay malinaw at tiyak hindi malabo. Halimbawa, magbabasa ako ng 20 minutes araw-araw. Sa challenge naman, dapat mahira-hirap pero kayang abutin. Mas mataas ang motivation kapag may konting challenge. Sa performance monitoring, pagsubaybay sa proseso. Pagtatanong sa sarili, umuusad ba ako? Sa performance feedback, pagtanggap ng impormasyon tungkol sa performance. Ano ang tama at anong dapat pang ayusin? Mahalaga upang mag-improve ang isang mag-aaral o isang tao. So, SMART. Ito yung sa S, specific, sa M, measurable, A, attainable, R, relevant, and T, timely. So, specific, ang goal ay dapat malinaw at hindi malabo. Alam mo kung ano mismo ang gusto mong makamit. Halimbawa, magbabasa ako ng 20 minutes araw-araw. Sa measurable naman, dapat kayang sukatin kung gaano ka nakalayo o kung natupad mo na ang goal. Gumagamit ng bilang, oras o resulta. Halimbawa, makakakuha ako ng 85 pataas na sa next quiz. Sa achievable naman o kayang abutin, dapat realistic at kaya nang abutin gamit ang iyong kakayahan at resources. Halimbawa, mag-aaral ako ng isang oras kada gabi, hindi 8 oras na biglaan. Sa relevant, dapat may kabuluhan sa buhay mo sa pag-aaral. Halimbawa, pag-aaralan ko ang math para maging handa sa exam. Sa time naman, timely, dapat may deadline o petsa kung kailan mo dapat makamit. Halimbawa, tatapusin ko ang proyekto sa loob ng 3 araw.
So, the next is students' diversity in motivation. Students of Asian background are more likely to attribute academic achievement to unstable factors like effort and attribute appropriate or inappropriate behaviors to temporary situational factors than students brought up in mainstream Western culture. So Lilliard 1997, Peak 1993, quoted by Omrod 2004. Next is females are also more concerned about doing well in school. They work harder on assignments, earn higher grades, and are more likely to graduate from high school. It's Halpern 1992, McCall 1994, quoted by Omrod 2004. Females are more likely than males to have a high need for affiliation. Black 1983, quoted by Omrod 2004, P508. Students from low-income family are among those most likely to be at risk of failing and dropping out school. So, Asian backgrounds commonly think that hard work leads to success. So they often try harder. They also explain behavior as being caused by the situation around them. So the second is gender differences in school behavior. So this is the famous are also more concerned about doing well in school. So many girls tend to be more concerned about doing well in school because they often put more effort into assignments. They achieve higher grades and are more likely to graduate. Next is for need for belonging. Girls is generally seek stronger social connection and relationships, which affects how they behave and learn in school. So in socioeconomic status matters, students who come from families with limited financial resources face more challenges in learning. Because of these struggles, they have a higher chance of failing academically or leaving school. The next is students who gifted may have high intrinsic motivation to learn classroom subject matter, yet they may become easily bored in class activities don't challenge their abilities. So in Federal 1993, Turnbull et al. 19 quoted by Omrod 2004, students with specific or general academic difficulties. So those with learning disabilities, that is example given. Those with mental retardation may show signs of learned helplessness with regard to classroom tasks, especially if their past efforts have been repeatedly met with failure. So this is Deshler Schmucker 1988, Jacobson Lowery or Ducat 1986 and Seligman 1975. Students who have difficulty getting along with their classmates. So the example given is those with emotional and behavioral disorders, so may inappropriately attribute their social failures to factors beyond their control. By Herod 1996, quoted by Omrod 2004. So this slide, it focuses on psychologically specifically how students' history and ability level affect their mindset. So the challenge for gifted students is they often have intrinsic motivation. So meaning they learn because they enjoy it, not just to get a grade. But the problem, the text highlights a paradox. While these students want to learn, they require cognitive friction, tasks that make them think hard if a class is too easy. So their motivation evaporates and they become disruptive is designate. So intelligence does not guarantee. Intelligence does not guarantee engagement, so the curriculum must match their speed. Next, So here's the two principles to consider regarding social and cultural influences of motivation. So the one is students are more likely to model the behaviors they believe are relevant to their situation. The second is students develop greater efficacy for a task when they see others like themselves in performing the task successfully. By Omrod 2004. So that's all, and thank you.